The panel that we're going to have next, couldn't end on a higher note for us because, when we thought about putting this panel together, we really wanted to play on the trends and some of the innovations we were seeing in the industry, and that is, athletes and entertainers taking active roles and being at the front of these organizations as owners. Again, we couldn't be more fortunate to have the group of gentlemen that we do with us right now. So starting out, our moderator, head of sports and entertainment for UBS Wealth Management and former NFL All-Pro linebacker, Wale Ogunleye. A former #1 pick in the 2000 NBA draft, All-Star Kenyon Martin Sr., founder of Top Pit Productions and the Kenyon Martin Foundation. And then finally, Sean Merriman, founder of Lights Out Extreme Fighting and former NFL All-Pro linebacker for former Chargers, LA Chargers. Sean Merriman, welcome. Thank you.
Matt, I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. Let's dive right in, gentlemen. First of all, my name is Wale Ogunleye. Yes, I am the head of sports and entertainment at UBS. Super excited to be here with two friends that I feel are some of the smartest individuals around me. I am a firm believer of not being the smartest one in the room, and when these two guys are with me, I'm definitely probably the dumbest. So with that being said, I'll introduce Kenyon Martin and Sean Merriman. Kenyon, what have you been up to since retirement? Let's talk about that first.
Since retirement, I retired in 2015, played 15 wonderful years in the NBA. First and foremost, being a full devoted dad, and father first and foremost. Trying to get back some of the time that I missed out on while I was playing. I'm a father of 6, 3 girls, 3 boys, so trying to get back some of that time, make up some of that. But no, just different business adventures. Me and my wife started a logistics company, a transportation company. We did that for a few years, was able to sell that. Right now, and been in the TV and radio space, being a creator in content and things like that in the podcast world. Just building in that space right now. That's the most recent adventure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just dabbling in real estate over time and different things like that, man.
Sean, same question for you. You've been retired for a couple of years now, and how about you? What have you been doing?
Yeah, when I retired, I got straight into TV. I went to NFL Network a couple years, went to Fox Sports a couple years after that, went to ESPN a couple years, WWE Network a couple years, and just recently in 2019, I launched my MMA organization called Lights Out Extreme Fighting, which is we're one of the top feeders to the UFC. So think of us as, like the G League to the NBA. And we're one of the top 2 feeders in the world. And we're distributed pretty much on every major sports platform, Fubo and Bally's, Amazon Freevee, Pluto, BN Sports, Bally's just got UFC Fight Pass we're on now. And I just recently launched my new free ad-supported streaming service called Lights Out Sports TV, which is available on every CTV platform and smart TV in the world. We got all sports, from motocross, motorsports, World Poker Tour, chess, 30 different fast channels, 250 sports movies and documentaries, and climbing. Right now, we're currently #1 in this space, and want to keep growing. I think right now with streaming, it's the wild, wild west. It's kind of a crazy business, and we found a way to aggregate all this content to one platform, so people didn't have to go to, YouTube to find here or this website to find here. You pretty much got everything in one platform. We're on iOS, Android, so if you guys want to download Lights Out Sports TV. But between the MMA space, the combat sports space, which is globally just really, really big right now, and then the media space, those 2 things consume most of my time.
It's funny you guys talk about what you're doing now in your careers. It seems like it is a small world, and there's a lot of connectivity in some of the stuff that you're doing. What I would like to kind of dive into is just the mindset of when you were playing, you guys were all-stars, first-round draft picks. Is this where you thought you would be when it was all said and done, as you're pivoting into your second careers? I'll start with you, Ken. How did you get to this place?
I got in the media space by accident, to be honest. I had no desire to speak, to be on camera, for the simple fact that I grew up with a stutter. So I used to be shy of the camera and people and talking in front of large groups of people, believe it or not. But I got into doing TV, Fox Sports. Former coach of mine wrote a book and had some things, disparaging things to say about me and a few of my teammates. And at the time, Twitter was active, and I went on as they would call a Twitter rant about this gentleman, and Fox asked me to come on TV the next day. And I guess I went on there and I spoke well and articulated the issue with the situation. And that led to, they asked me to come back some more, and again and again and again. And that led to me doing other networks and other things. And it was a lane I'm like, oh, I can do this, right? And put the stutter behind me. I don't think about it when I speak, when I'm on TV, or was able to do radio shows and did different things in that nature. So and that's the lane that I saw people gravitating towards, was media and content and things like that. So it just made sense, man.
You know, Sean, before I go to you, you did talk about, you guys are in a logistics company with your wife.
Yeah.
You're doing this now with the media side. I do understand athletes, when you sign your big contract, everyone sees the headlines, these millions and millions of dollars. And then when everyone has a bright idea, they're coming to you for that idea, right? They just need your capital to make this idea go. From an investing standpoint, when was that first, I guess, thought process that I'm going to use my hard-earned capital that I've worked on the court to generate money outside of the court?
It was early on, man. I was very fortunate because I didn't grow up with money, of course. So me signing an NBA contract was a real deal, right? Mm-hmm. So, but for me, I was blessed to have decent people around me. Not trusting them with my finance, so to speak, but just trusting the knowledge that they were giving me about it, right? Mm-hmm. Me going to rookie transition before my rookie year and really paying attention to certain panels, right? Right. Because it was naive to me, right? I didn't know certain things. I had never come into money. I never had anything. So when they were saying certain things, I'm paying attention, right? And then as you get into your rookie year and your second year and you see veterans around, and the veterans around having briefcases and computers and they handling business when I'm listening to music, right? I'm the young guy listening to music, they handling business. So, and I'm asking questions, right? I'm asking what they're doing, and they explain it to me, young fella, this is what we're doing. I got this company, I got this company, I invested in my hometown, I bought this, I'm doing this. And I'm like, all right, cool, so you learn, right? But then you learn the bad side of it as well. Like you said, everybody got a bright idea. So I was very fortunate to not be the one to start a clothing line or put money in a rap label and certain things that people do that you hear the horror stories about. So I was able to stay away from that and just was able to listen to the right people and do the right things early on.
Sean, I know for personally, between me and you, we went to business school together actually after you got done playing. I know for me, mine was motivated by my parents. My parents both had their master's degrees. No matter what I did in my professional NFL career, I could not impress them because of that. I'm in a Pro Bowl, I'm playing in the Super Bowl. They were like, yeah, but your sister's a doctor. I'm like, okay. All right, so for me, I went to get my master's degree. Seeing you in that same element, what was that spark? Like, again, back to when did you decide this was what I was going to do? And same question I asked Kenyon, is this where you thought you were always going to be?
Yeah. For me, initially when I got into MMA, I was trained in the mid-2000s with like some of the biggest names, with Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, and Randy Couture, all the big Cain Velasquez, all these big guys in the mid-2000s. But I wanted to do it just to help me out in football. I had no idea that I would fall in love with the sport and kind of stick around. For me, I got my nickname my sophomore year in high school. With Lights Out, I knocked out 4 kids in one game my sophomore year in high school.
Man.
And what I did is that my rookie year, when I got my first check from the Chargers, I wanted to go buy the name and trademarks of Lights Out from another company. So I kind of already knew what I wanted to do. It's just that back then, at the time, trademarks and copyrights and all, it wasn't a big deal. People weren't talking about it, but I knew that my name was that, and I wanted to own it, and I knew I wanted to do something with it. I just didn't know at the time. And For me, the transition was super easy because I started to do a lot of TV back when I was playing. Like you had those reps. Anytime someone stuck a camera in your face after a game or pre-game or post-game or whatever it was, you just had these reps. So I was pretty good in front of the camera, but I started to get interested in what was happening before. I started getting interested in what happened to commercial breaks, why the producers was in our ears telling us we got a minute and 20 to talk before we go to commercials. And that led me to believe, like, okay, there's something here. And they had to pay the bills because there was ads and commercials. So I started to get very curious, and also been a part of building some of the most iconic sports programs, with Good Morning Football on the NFL Network when they launched. Speak for Yourself on Fox Sports at that launch. Sports Nation, ESPN when that launched. WWE Network when I was hosting WrestleManias and Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns, and also doing pay-per-views with WrestleMania. So when it came to TV and media, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I kind of already implanted myself in all of it, and that's what led me to launch my own streaming service and launch my own MMA league, because I've been around it for so long, and I kind of had a foresight that it was only going to get bigger, and I had my feet on the ground early on. And so that transition, it started like the next week. I ended up signing with NFL Network like 4 days after I retired, and I got straight into TV, and I never looked back. So I kind of had a mindset that I wanted to do it. And of course, man, I put my own money back to launching my own capital when I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, which I got us a deal on Fox Sports West and Prime Ticket. We started there and kind of moved around to different regions in the country. So all this stuff, to me, I've already had a lot of experience in it, so it was an easier transition.
You talked about putting up your own money for that. I think that's one, if you have the right people around you, it can be a good thing. Talk about maybe that first experience of you investing, and it doesn't have to be in what you were doing now, but did you learn any lessons in that, and that's what you're using now as you're growing?
Yeah, don't use your own money. No, but I had an idea. I don't like to pitch a concept. I wanted somebody to see we got something up and running. So when UFC left Fox Sports, they brought Lights Out Extreme Fight, my company, in to be the replacement in the regionals, which we got in like 14 to 16 different regions of the country. But I had to prove, right? And don't get me wrong, there was definitely a stigma of being a former athlete. And understanding production, understanding these business deals and venue deals when we go travel in all these casinos and arenas and stuff like that. So it was a stigma that happened, that no one's just going to invest right away because of that stigma of someone not knowing of what your knowledge was of the industry. So I felt like I had to. And then once we became, one of the most watched in the country, then it opened up everyone's mind of what I was capable of doing, and also building a team, because I think that all of us, one thing we knew how to do is build a team and be around a team. And I started to put the right people around. I've been in TV for 14 years at that point, or close to it. So, I had people from Fox Sports coming over, people from ESPN. My production guys, a lot of them were from NFL Network and ESPN, so our production quality was top notch, and we just kept growing from there.
Kenyon, we're talking about investing, and I think when I bring it back to the connectivity with you two, especially with the podcast that I don't even you want to call it a podcast. Like, what would you even call what you and Gil and these guys do? What do you call your?
It's a talk show.
Talk show?
Talk sports show, talk life show, whatever. I don't think it's a podcast.
You said with a lot of four-letter words, though.
Yeah, with a lot of four-letter words.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
definitely an adult show. We're trying to cater it to
but
a certain audience.
I bring it to what do you think? And Sean, you'll answer this after. What is the future for streaming, for content, sports content? What is that future? What does it look like?
It's evolving, being able to change with the time, man. It's not just sitting down and chopping your interview up and giving it to people.
Why? Why is that not working anymore?
It's oversaturated. For my opinion, it's oversaturated, right? Just the typical podcast space is oversaturated. We as former athletes, all of us feel, because of our arrogance, that everybody wants to hear what we have to say. No matter our level of success while we were doing it, for some reason we feel like everybody, like I have a voice when I played in the NBA, the NFL, and Major League Baseball, whatever the sport is, we feel like people want to hear it. And that's not the case, right? It's just not, right? You got to have something to it, and you got to be able to find different gaps and lanes where other people are not doing. And I think that's what we are good at. Like, no one else that has had a podcast or a show, whatever you want to call it, has had a shootout, right? We had a real live, we gave away $100,000 to the winner, right? Mm-hmm. From our show, shooting jump shots.
No one
right?
called me for that.
No, I'm saying?
I would have won.
Live audience, we were one of the first ones to do a live audience when we took questions from, like we rented out the El Rey's Theater, we did that. We're the only one that does it live.
So I'm hearing that you're not even just live, but you're innovating, you're moving, you're constantly
doing different shows off of it, creating, being able to be there and bring my creative mind of the shows that I already had in mind and moving forward to putting those things out, because you have somebody that believe in your vision and believe in what you've been working at for a few years now, where there's been a few no's and some maybes.
Right.
You finally get that one yes, and somebody who believes in what you've been speaking and going to these different rooms, different meetings with these different networks and higher ups. And like to Sean's point, it's the stigma of athletes don't like to work or athletes want a handout, which is not the case. No, we're willing to do the work. So for me, it's just being in this space and knowing what there's a void for content from athletes more than us talking about our respective sport, right? I'm more than I played basketball for 15 years. That was it.
Right.
There's a lot more. My brain just doesn't think basketball. My passion is not that. I love basketball, of course, for what it did for me and my family and got us out of the situation. I was able to buy my mom a house. So I love basketball, don't get me wrong. My son plays in the NBA now. So basketball is great in my household, trust me, it's first. But there's much more to me and my thought process and my passions than that. And for me to be able in the space to be able to get that back now and creating content is huge.
Yeah, Sean, we're talking about changing and moving forward and being innovative. From your perspective, and I'll say this too, from me being in the financial world and seeing sports and live entertainment, I realized that the sports industry is one of the most bulletproof industries in the world, right? Like, no matter if it's COVID, if the market is up, the market is down, people are going to want to watch their live sports. For you, what do you see, though? What's going to be that next thing that keeps your field and what you're doing moving forward?
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, live sports is king. We got a ton of VOD content, the sports movies and documentaries, but we always see the spikes from live sports. And this fast space when you talk about streaming, it's so new. It's only 9 or 10 years old. I mean, and cable's been around for God knows how long, and we're starting to see more and more cables just get cut. I mean, the next 3 to 5 years, cable won't even be around. And so we feel like we have the upper hand where not only we beat a lot of people to the punch, but we executed more efficient than everyone else. And then we're free. We have a free option, and then, no matter, when you talk about the economy and things turning, people are going to start looking for more free options. So, we're free ad supported, so we have in-house ad team that's running programmatic and direct ads to these platforms. And it's just starting to kind of open up. I mean, we see now that some NHL teams, MLB teams are kind of fragmented. They're going out now and they're not staying at the ESPN. They're not staying at just the Fox Sports. They're not staying at just NBC or ABC. Fast is picking up, and it's just, kind of the beginning of it, because more and more cable, the cable cord is getting cut, the bigger the fast space is. And so for us, we feel like we can be the leaders in this space. And so far, we're the most distributed, platform in the sports space, probably ever.
You see any bumps in the road? Like, what could slow this thing down?
I think the biggest thing is, you're always going to have the power 4 or 5, right? NFL, MLB, NBA that just got that big deal with Amazon, and so that'll always be there. But there's a lot of second-tier sports that's not going to get an opportunity to get there. We just got an exclusive deal with the Women's Football League, the biggest women's football league. We got the Indoor Football League today. Tomorrow we're going to announce the East-West Shrine Bowl. So what we see that now some of these other up-and-coming organizations or sports, cricket that's coming on right now. I mean, you know, I didn't know cricket was big. And right now, chess is one of our most watched. I didn't even watch chess before, you know, we added it. Now I'm watching the commentary.
We could tell you could have watched chess. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that. We know.
Like, I didn't, you know, and now it's like, it's one of those things where I go there and I watch, you know, one of the motocross or motorsports channels or a sports movie or documentary, and I'm going to chess, and I'm sitting there learning chess from what's going on. And I think that if our platform wasn't available, you might have to go to YouTube, you might have to go to their website. It's fragmented. It's all in one. You know, it's never been done at this caliber and this speed before, only because, you know, we come from the sports background. I saw kind of the pivot, you know, when I was at ESPN and we was a sports nation and we were the third most watched show behind First Take, Sports Center, First Take, and then us, and they just cut us, and we were trying to figure out what was going on, and 2 weeks later, you see ESPN Plus launched. I was like, okay, I get it, enough. You know, I've seen enough, and I think that was a breaking point where I started to see the switch. It is so early in this fast space that we really feel like we got a leg up on a lot of the competition out there.
You know, Sean talked about women's sports, and I think, Kenyon, you have an interesting perspective. You're a coach now. Can you tell the group who you're coaching right now?
Oh yeah, I am missing out on my 5th grade girls coaching debut today to be here with you guys. So, so it's my 5th grade daughter. Her girls basketball team. Started coaching them last winter and taught me a lot about myself. So, far as patience. So.
So we'll talk about, we saw the growth of the WNBA this year. I know a lot of times people said that it wasn't going to happen. It's not there. I always knew that there's got to be something there. Obviously also looking at my wife's credit card spending, I know if she wants to, if she's interested in it, she's going to pay for it. So from that standpoint, how do we grow the interest in women's sports? I know it's 3 men up here, but again, I do think the women industry needs advocates and allies to help push this agenda forward. So it is kind of unique to see and you have a daughter and we have daughters. Yeah. It's probably great to see, like, how do we help push that forward and getting women's sports more views?
Yeah, like in my space, like in the podcast, in that creating space, the show space, like for us to have Lexi Brown, who was the LA Spark current player, and Cheryl Swoops on the show, who's a legend, mm-hmm. to have them involved and on our show consistently, regularly, is a step in that direction. Them to be able to give them a voice during the season, while they're still playing during the summer and things like that, for them to be actively pushing the sport. But like you said, having guys like myself, Sean, and yourself, Wale, like I'm gonna say just being a voice. If you can go to a game, go to a game. If you can retweet something, like just the different things different ways you can support. I'm saying, but for the WNBA, it's in a place that it's never been, right? Mm-hmm. As far as revenue, viewership, support from all walks of life. You know, and I think it's only gonna grow now because you have more and more young stars coming along, right? Right. In the next few years, then you're gonna have Juju Watkins coming through and different people like that. So I think it's rapidly growing because of the success that they've had, and it, like I said, it just takes one sometimes, right? Right. And Caitlin Clark has been that one. Women's sports and basketball, that's the closest thing that I've been to. If I always could play, just not the notoriety, and you could point fingers at why and who's to blame, why the WNBA not to where it should be. But like I said, everything takes time, and it's there now, and I don't think it's turning around no time soon.
Sean, well, the same question for your industry. Why hasn't there been another Ronda Rousey? When's that happening?
For one, it comes down to distribution, right? You got to be able to find it. You got to have availability, so people can watch what they can't find, and that comes down to it. And I think that you can build a sport off of one or two individuals when it comes to women's sports. I mean, look what Caitlin Clark has done with NBA, right? And don't get me wrong, she's not the only reason for it, but when you started to tune into Caitlin Clark, you started looking at Angel Reese, started looking at everybody else around, and you started to find these stars. And because of Ronda Rousey, you had Amanda Nunes, right? You had Holly Holmes. People were tuning in to watch, Ronda Rousey because, what she did for the sport. And now you got 5 or 6 other women who became stars out of that deal. And I think that, between women's sports and youth sports, I think that's the biggest right now the biggest push that everyone kind of overlooked for so long, but that's going to be the next thing because the distribution wasn't there to watch women. And ESPN, not nothing against ESPN, they had the games there, but it was just content. They wasn't a focal point. It wasn't the same build-up and storylines that it was in the NBA on
Because
Christmas.
the days of the week they playing on a Tuesday at 2:30 in the afternoon when everybody's at work.
Right. And so again, they became content for them. And so, one of the pitches I had and why we just got the Women's Football League is that, we wanted to be an added value to them and not just be on a major network where they're just content. Hey, you guys got 2 hours here from 2:30 to 4:30 and then that's it. How can we make that a pivotal point of sports? How can we make that a major part of what we're building? And so if the distribution is there and the storylines like the NBA and the build up and being able to have a game on Christmas or some big holiday that everybody can watch. Oh, by the way, they got stars there. So you have to have the distribution in order to build those stars. And that's what we're really focusing on over these next 6 to 12 months.
And stop treating them as matter of fact. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
Matter of fact, they only like hold on, like it's that, right?
Right.
I just remember being in college, like just going to some of our girls' college basketball games, and it was literally you could count how many people would be in there because they didn't do anything to advertise or to push the girls' team like they did us. And it's just embarrassment at times. But the direction that it's going, man, I think it's in good hands.
I mean, you guys talk about, getting advocates, getting a bigger network of people, finding individuals who are going to help support it and then making it a focus. I think you guys have a great focus, but I know you do. But how do you guys stay, and I'll pivot a little bit, but how do you guys stay on these different topics that we're talking about? Who do you have in your inner circle to keep you from being still? Kenyon, you're super busy. You're traveling all the time. You're busy with your family. How do you stay in the know of knowing what's next so that you're not stale? How do you continue growing and just being a man, an investor, a father, all those different things?
Yeah, just the circles that you're around. Like you said, just not always being the one to talk. Like you said, not being the smartest one in the room. Mm-hmm. Just being a fly sometimes is listening. Mm-hmm. Listening to what people are saying and learning over time how to network and what your interests are. You lean into those things, right? Mm-hmm. Those things that you gravitate to. That just for me is just being able to know what I've built during my career and just using it in times to be successful. You know what I'm saying, to be in certain rooms and just capitalize on those things and not overextending myself. Not doing things that I have no interest in doing. Right? Just so if you stand in certain lanes, like Sean found his lane, what he was doing with his MMA thing, so he understands what to look for, right? What to go search or what I'm saying. So you understand that's what you want to do, and that's all I do. I don't. Certain things come my way. If I want to, I can. Or I don't have to, right? So you're able to pick and choose now, and that's a good thing. That's a blessing to pick and choose what you want to do and who you want to engage with certain business aspects and investments, time, whatever it is.
Sean, how about you? How do you engage and you stay? I mean, you have a broad network of individuals too, but how do you stay engaged and moving forward? Because I know you're in this business, but you're so much more than that. Tell me about that.
I think for me, you got to just remain focused and disciplined and don't really get blinded by the shiny objects of certain things. Things come across the table all the time for probably good opportunities, but I'm like, lights out sports, lights out extreme fight. I don't want to do anything else. I have this personal belief that you can't be great at 10 things, you can be great at 1 or 2. And that part of it keeps me very focused. And also, too, because I come from the TV and broadcast streaming background, I've been able to partner up and be around some very, very influential people in this space, at Paramount and Fox Sports and Disney and all this. So when you can pick up the phone and call people, and you got questions about growth and growing and staying in that lane and focused. For example, Pluto was probably the first free ad support. I don't know if you guys know Pluto, the streaming service out there, but they were probably the first in this space and they're great. But I watch crime shows, on Pluto at night and sitcoms, and they got 20 seasons of CSI. So I go there for other stuff, and so I took Pluto's model that I admired, and I brought a couple people over from the content side and business side, development side from Pluto, brought them in house, and I stayed very hyper focused on sports. And that really kept me on track because there were so many opportunities where like, hey, yeah, you can go big here if you add these movies. It's not sport. I'm like, we have an all sports platform. And so for me, it's just the focusedness and remaining disciplined in what we're trying to build.
Love it. I think I agree with you on that. I think staying focused, staying within your lane, but then also being open to new opportunities, surrounding yourself with the right people. I think for me, you said it earlier, as an athlete, you're always trying to prove yourself. Like even for me, when I got to UBS, I was like, I got to take my series exams. I got to make sure that they don't look at me as, a meathead, right? Just the guy that came and knocked people around. Are there still stereotypes and biases that you think you guys have to push through now, or have you got to a place where you're comfortable? Kenyon.
Yeah, I'm the big black guy with tattoos everywhere. Everywhere I go, so it's just what it is. I'm 6'9", and it's that, right? And certain people that know of me when I played still think that I'm right.
So you're not that guy anymore?
I never, off the floor, I never was, right? Just the persona that was on the floor. So, no, it's just people, and then when people actually meet and talk and engage, it's a different thing, man, especially with the business side and what I'm doing, and like you said, the creative, the way my brain works, and being able to articulate it. People don't see that all the time, right? From athletes, and just to be able to dispel certain, like you said, certain stereotypes is great. It's great, like I said, especially on the other side of sports, on the life side and the business and that side of life is. I get a kick out of it.
Listen, to be fair, Kenyon, if I'm going to be fair, if we would put your highlights up here, people would be scared of you. Like you played with bad intentions, my friend.
I did. Well, listen, so I'm not the only one up here.
No, he's next. He's next.
Lights out.
Lights out,
really?
right, for sure.
Come on, now.
Sean, same thing. Stereotypically, like, where do you see yourself? I mean, listen, you're an investor. But there's always these boxes that you're trying to push out of. Like, what would you want the audience to know about, one, athletes in the space, and then one, like he already touched on it, like they're really great people, articulate family men. I mean, the guy is the head coach of his daughter's 5th grade basketball team, guys. Come on. So he's not as bad as we thought he was, right? But what would you say from trying to get us out of the stereotype?
I think, for me, it's the growth we've had, and all the time. Last week I was in New York and I was speaking at Adweek, right? And when I got there, there's so many people knew I had going on, but they thought I just had some big infrastructure behind me, and I was like, no. How did you get on Vizio and Roku and all these? They were going through who did all this stuff, and I think that it's kind of shocking for most people that, knowing that I built a streaming service, knowing we're one of the top feeders in the world of UFC, that I was kind of, and I do it by myself, but definitely leading the charge. We go to these casinos, these arenas, and who did the venue deals? I'm like, it's me, right? And so you have a team of people that I just kind of leading the way, and I'm building a team. So I think that the stereotypes really drop when I get to talking or I get around people and they're like, oh, okay, we see it now. Or even at the big stream TV convention where I'm up on the stage and I'm sitting next to the CFO or CRO from Roku, right, or Paramount or whoever it is. And so I think that just my knowledge of this business and where the business is going. It takes 5 minutes, and I think all of that goes away. But definitely initially, it's there. Like, oh, you got a streaming service. What kind of sports you got? And I'm like, all of them, right?
Right.
Or it's like, oh, what about this MMA league? Who are you guys? I'm like, oh, we're number 1 or 2 to the UFC. And I think that those things after a conversation happen, but definitely walking into the room, you have to really, really explain your knowledge as opposed to somebody that worked in streaming or TV for 20 years at NBC. They walk in the room, you know who they are, you know they're in the TV business. And, when I go to these places, they're like, oh, what are you doing here? I'm like, my panel at 2 o'clock. You gonna come? Type of deal. And then the stereotypes drop, but definitely walking into the room, it's you get the guards are a little bit up on what you're capable of doing and how big you can grow an organization and can you lead, teams in the right direction.
Before I get into I have one more question for both of you. Let me give everybody in the audience a chance. If they wanted to find out all the stuff that you got going on, where should they go, Sean, for you?
Yeah, for Lights Out Extreme Fighting, you guys can download Lights Out Sports TV if you've got iOS, Android, or any major smart TV out there. And the same thing with Lights Out Sports. We're on every major TV device and phone device, and it seems like now, like we were just talking in the back that we just did a deal with Reach TV, so now we're in 90 airports, live on Sundays, and some of the content and stuff we have there, and then atmosphere that's in all the bars and restaurants and airports, and so I feel like every week there's like something going on. So yeah, definitely check us out. We're on every major device.
Ken, how about you?
Oh, I ain't got all that going on. I can tell you that. This man.
So we can see this podcast.
Oh yeah, he's been moving, man. Yeah, we're on YouTube 4 days a week, man. Hopefully we can, man. So we're gonna talk some business with this guy. I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
Sports now, but I'm saying we're on YouTube right now, 4 days a week live, Monday through Thursday. Yeah, it's entertaining. If you're not doing nothing, or you want to say you're on your bike, or you're sitting at your office some days and you want to tune in, you're going to hit that subscription button, man, the Gills Arena.
And make sure no kids around. Make sure no kids around.
Yeah, headphones and no kids around. Trust me, it is not for the faint of heart at times.
It's great.
But it's good. It's great content, trust me. We are talking life, sports, everything else. But yeah, do yourself a favor, man. Tune in, man. It's entertaining, and there's more content to come, trust me. There's a lot of stuff brewing now that we reached the plateau that we have with the subscriptions and the people supporting the show. So there's a lot more brewing, trust me.
All right, so this last question that I have for both of you, I didn't tell you what I was gonna ask you here. Has nothing to do with your love for the Cowboys.
Listen, man.
I've been jabbing them all day for that.
They stink.
When it's all said and done, you guys have made a ton of money. You guys have reached the pinnacle of fame, fortune, notoriety, whatever it is, and you're still plateauing, right? You're still going. When it's all said and done, I'll start with you, Sean, so I'll let you think about this, Kenyon, next. What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want your legacy to be?
For me, especially when you've done something great on the court or the field, you get known for that the most, and which is nothing's wrong with that. But I think, I want to build something that's going to be around a lot longer than I will be. And, whether it's Lights Out and whatever we build or whatever we put together, that it lasts longer than I can ever walk on this earth. And you do that by putting dents in industries. You do that by disruption. You do that by creating something that's not there. And so we feel that we're going to make a mark in this space with streaming, it being interactive, it being seen and most watched all over the world, and that is going to continue to grow because someone else in the next 10 years, when Amazon decides to create something that people can watch here and have something live in AI that we can't be around, and I'm no longer here, but Lights Out Sports and just the brand of Lights Out is still around that people can still watch and enjoy and be a part of.
Yeah, to reiterate and just piggyback on exactly what he was saying, man. Just to leave something in for it to be bigger than the things that I did on the floor, right? Just that simple, right?
Yep.
Just to be something long lasting that family and friend, everybody could be proud of as much as it was of me making it to the NBA.
Well, I'll tell you, both gentlemen, I've had a front row seat at this second career that you both of you guys are having, and you're well on your way in creating another legacy. So thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you guys enjoyed the panel.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And go hit that subscription button on Gills Arena. Yeah, we're trying to get this thing to 1 million. We had like 800,000.
Getting up to 1 million
Yeah, we're trying to get this thing to 1 million. We had like 800,000. So go and hit that button for us, man. It ain't gonna hurt you. It don't cost you nothing to hit the button. It's free.
Hey, I got the Lights Out on my app right here because I want to keep my lights on. So I did exactly what you said. I downloaded it, and we're good to go.